It's been quite a journey, but it started with the introduction of the Digital Asset Business Act in 2018, when it established the country as one of the first jurisdictions globally to create a comprehensive digital asset framework.
All right, everybody, I'm Sam Seeley, and it's a real honor to host today's discussion. Bermuda has truly played an important role in the evolution of digital finance, not just by creating thoughtful regulation, but by showing just how trusted policy, responsible innovation, and real-world adoption can really work together. We are especially honored to be joined today by Premier David Burt, Bermuda's 13th premier to be elected to the government of Bermuda's highest office. Premier Burt has been a central leader in Bermuda's digital finance journey, helping position the country as one of the most forward-looking jurisdictions in the world for digital assets, stablecoins, and on-chain financial infrastructure. Yeah, to begin, we'd like to start with the broader story of Bermuda's journey. Premier, Bermuda has been building toward this moment for years. How would you describe Bermuda's journey in digital finance from the creation of the Digital Asset Business Act to today?
Bermuda's journey in digital finance started with the introduction of the Digital Asset Business Act in 2018, which established the country as one of the first jurisdictions globally to create a comprehensive digital asset framework. And I still remember that time announcing that particular Digital Asset Business Act while I was in consensus in 2018. But this early regulatory success attracted key industry players such as Circle, who was the first full licensee in Bermuda, licensed under our DABA regime. And since its inception, the DABA framework has continually been upgraded, and we continue to add additional regulatory clarity, whether it's derivatives, whether it's lending and staking, or other things to make sure we capture the innovative aspects of the digital asset industry. In addition, in the latest one, of course, being yield-bearing stable coins.
Thank you, Premier. You know, what stands out is that Bermuda's approach has been really intentional. I've been following for a long time. It's not like a sudden move into digital finance, and it really reflects to me years of work to create trust, clarity, and foundation for responsible innovation. You know, with that history in mind that you shared, let's turn to the present moment. Why is Bermuda embracing digital finance, stablecoins, and digital dollars at this particular moment?
Well, I think it's just a continued journey of what we've been on, but we're embracing digital finance as part of our vision to become the world's first fully on-chain national economy. An initiative that we announced in partnership with Coinbase and Circle at this year's World Economic Forum in Davos. And the fundamental vision is about financial inclusion, ensuring that all Bermudians have a safe and secure access to that same technology and tools that persons overseas get to utilize every day, with stable coins and digital wallets forming the foundation of this new path on digital finance.
Awesome, awesome. That's some important framing because it really shows that it's much more than technology. Looking ahead, I like to connect that to Bermuda's long-term economic goals. How do you see stable coins, tokenized funds, and on-chain finance contributing to Bermuda's long-term economic vision?
Well, I think this is the great part about this, and this is like the promise of digital finance, the promise of what we're trying to make sure that we bring to the citizens of this country and demonstrate how this can be done globally. And the goal is really to deliver economic mobility for ordinary, everyday people through an on-chain economy. And let's look at the pillars that we discussed before: financial inclusion, giving Bermudians access to the same financial tools and technology that are available globally in larger jurisdictions. Low-cost transactions, providing the Bermuda retail market with low-cost payment through stable coins and digital wallets. Savings for merchants, 2 to 3, 4%, in some cases a little bit higher, for every business on island immediately. Also, which I think is important when we're talking about tokenization, is access to global investment opportunities.
This is exciting stuff. As you're talking, I was thinking about, that long-term vision, only really matters if people can actually use these tools in daily lives, right? Adoption is where policy becomes real. Residents, merchants, and institutions begin to really understand the practical value.
The reality is we
Really
have
brilliant.
that adoption is going to take time, but you just have to keep working at it.
Right, right. So, how has adoption of these technologies been achieved? I know the Digital Finance Forum's world's first airdrop in 2025. I was there, it was incredible. So, how does that happen and scale up to this year?
Mhm. Well, I mean, adoption has been driven by key partnerships with companies like Circle and Coinbase, building on these milestones which we set out. The event successfully educated and onboarded over 500 local residents and local businesses to digital finance using USDC. Each attendee received 100 USDC and was able to pay with USAC with minimal fees at digital payments market activation. So in
Sounds good.
2026, at this week's Digital Finance Forum, we are going to be expanding these efforts with broader business participation and a larger USCC airdrop activation. The USC activation will include returning partners such as Coinbase and Circle. So we're excited to have them back, but new partners such as Stellar and Kraken to expand the digital finance tools available on the island. And these activations, there'll be three of them. There'll be USCC on Stellar, USCC on Base, and Kraken X stock drop. So we are very excited for what's taking place this year at the Digital Finance Forum. And it's so great to have partners, reliable partners like the ones at the beginning, Circle, who've been here with us from the start.
And super exciting. If you haven't been to Bermuda, folks, it is definitely a beautiful place. That brings us to the central focus of today's conversation, the digital Bermuda dollar. This is a major step because it connects Bermuda's national currency, digital infrastructure, and broader economic strategy in a very tangible way. Today's discussion is focused on the digital Bermuda dollar, DBMD. What does this initiative mean for Bermuda and why is it so important?
Well, I would say it's important to recognize the construct of which we have in Bermuda, where there was no view to have central bank digital currencies. But we've always had a view and a vision that there's going to be private sector stablecoins. We want to make sure to support that innovation. And so the digital Bermuda dollar is an exciting project that we've been encouraging in the private sector for years. And with our DABA regime, businesses have regulatory clarity to launch any digital asset that they wish. The Bermuda dollar has been a long-standing stablecoin, if you put it this way, pegged to the US dollar already. You can call it a non-digital stable coin, but now we're digitizing that. And so digitizing that just makes sense. The digital Bermuda dollar not only brings Bermuda into the digital finance era, but provides us with a tool to lead the world's transition into digital and on-chain economies. And so we look forward to partnering with our international partners to share our experience in digital asset regulation and to demonstrate this adoption at a national level.
Premier, thank you so much. That really gives us a strong foundation for the first part of this conversation. And we are now going to broaden the discussion and bring in Circle leadership. I'm excited because we are joined by Heath Talbert, who's Circle's president and drives the vision of transforming the future of finance here at the company from its legal compliance, risk policy, and international expansion strategy. We're also really excited to be joined by Cash, who is responsible for driving Circle's commercial strategy to advance the future of finance and digital assets. Cash, honestly, you bring such a deep experience in revenue leadership, business development, and go-to-market execution. So together, let's explore why Bermuda matters to Circle's global strategy, why this partnership is well positioned for the next phase, and what people should expect as the work moves from vision to adoption. So, Heath, I want to start with you. Heath, as we're building on what the Premier just shared, Bermuda is not only an important regulatory jurisdiction, it also is becoming a live example of how digital assets can move from policy discussion into practical national infrastructure. Given your role across Circle's legal risks and international strategy, you have a unique view into why jurisdictions like Bermuda matter, not just from a licensing side, but also from the future of a trusted digital finance. So, Heath, why, in your words, is Bermuda important to Circle's global strategy, both in terms of licensing jurisdiction and as an incubator for driving digital asset adoption through the on chain economy vision?
Bermuda is absolutely critical to Circle and to our vision, and they've more than earned their place in being a core part of our global strategy. First of all, when Circle looks to expand overseas, we look for really two things. First, are forward-thinking yet sound regulatory regimes. And the second thing we look for is real innovation, a commitment by the regulators, but also the country and the government at large to embracing what we believe is truly the future of finance. And with Premier Bert, we have all of that in Bermuda. It may be a small island, but its thinking is big And that's consistent with its history. Bermuda has always been an entrepreneurial place where some of the great aspects of the financial system have developed. And so Bermuda is core to us in the sense that, number one, it is the home where USYC, the world's largest tokenized money market fund, is issued. And so that is absolutely really important. We're so excited, and we wanted to find a jurisdiction that really made sense to issue such a flagship product. And there was no question that Bermuda, especially under Premier Bert's leadership, was exactly the right place. But of course, as Premier Bert has said, Bermuda is far more than that. It's developing a vision for an on-chain economy. And quite frankly, I'm not aware of any other jurisdiction in the world that is as advanced in its thinking and has a whole of government approach to embracing the future like Bermuda has. So we are so excited to be a part of that. USDC is accepted in Bermuda. It's being made a part of the government systems to be able to be used. And as Premier Bert has said, the Bermuda dollar itself has always been pegged to the US dollar.
Thank you, Heath. That gives us a helpful view into why Bermuda matters, absolutely, from Circle's global perspective. Premier, I want to jump back to you real quick. I like to bring this back to the local economy. At the end of the day, the success of this work will be measured by whether it creates real value for local businesses, merchants, financial institutions, and of course, your residents. What opportunities can the launch of the DBMD create for local businesses, merchants, financial institutions, and residents?
Well, thanks so much. The vision for the digital Bermuda dollar is to program with targeted economic benefits for the domestic market by addressing high transaction costs and the lack of availability of retail payment infrastructure. And so when we look at the opportunities that will be there for local stakeholders, it's of course for lowering transaction costs, because the digital Bermuda dollar can provide a mechanism for near zero fee payments, reducing the significant transaction costs for local merchants who are currently reliant on traditional credit card and banking fees that can range from 2.5% and sometimes even higher, up to 10%, if they're not, fully on board and are using a payment service provider. Enhanced savings and rewards for residents. The digital Bermuda dollar can be designed to provide higher savings yield than traditional bank savings account. It can also incentivize spending rewards with local businesses by leveraging the savings that will be achieved from avoiding the high costs of credit card fees or wire transfer costs.
I've got to say, as a young Caribbean myself, this is so exciting and just goosebumps to see happen in real time. Thank you for Premier. That local impact is exactly where execution matters. A vision like this requires more than technology, right? It requires trust, infrastructure, commercial readiness, and the ability to bring institution, businesses, and users along responsibly. Cash, given your work leading Circle's commercial strategy and go-to-market execution, I'd like to bring you into this. Why is Circle the right partner for Bermuda at this stage of its digital finance journey?
Bermuda has been a leader in terms of digital asset regulation. And so Circle shares that same compliance first, trust first approach. We have built our entire go-to-market, our entire commercialization strategy around doing things that enable regulators and governments of the largest and smallest countries in the world to understand how this new technology can impact them, impact their citizens, and bring everyone along. And so for us, this is not theoretical. We're already operating through a licensed Bermuda entity, and that's through the partnership with the Premier. And as Heath mentioned, and as Premier mentioned, we're also already issuing USYC, our tokenized money market fund, in Bermuda. And so that means that we're already building real on-chain financial infrastructure in Bermuda. This has already been happening for several years. And so once you connect the regulatory clarity with practical tools like digital dollars and tokenized money and programmable payments, that is where the magic happens, so to speak. That is where the mass adoption that everyone has been looking for happens.
Thank you, Cash. For those listening, I want you to pay close attention, because what I'm hearing is that this partnership sits at the intersection of not just vision, but execution. And Bermuda has definitely built the policy foundation, and it's clear Circle has brought the infrastructure, operating experience, and commercial capability to help support this adoption. Very exciting. So, you know what? Let's look ahead now. Heath, Cash, what are the next steps for Bermuda and Circle, and what should people expect to see in the months and years ahead?
This is where we take the vision that Premier Burt has long had for Bermuda and the vision that Circle itself was built upon, as Cash said, and we combine the two to execute. And I think our vision, like the Premier's, is that Bermuda is one of the great international financial centers. And we would think DBMD would also become an important international currency as well, as flows come to and from Bermuda, as well as the Premier has said, really important on the island itself for everyday purchases from groceries and other consumer goods. And so it really is an exciting step forward in the future of the on-chain internet financial system.
Yeah, and I would add on top of that, I think what can people expect and what are the next steps? I believe Heath outlined it really well. What is the end game? The end game is an on-chain economy that enables value to be moved frictionlessly at internet speed at very low cost. And so now it's taking that vision and continuing to execute for real world adoption. With the foundation in place, that means you're going to see a lot more of the same, more work with government, more work with regulators, more work with financial institutions, but now bringing the applications and the use cases that we believe can really transform how finance is enabled around the world, and specifically in Bermuda. So in the near term, I think you should expect more tangible progress. You should expect more applications being built. You should expect more institutional partners participating, and you should expect to see real world flows moving in and out and within Bermuda on chain, both in the Bermuda digital dollar and in USDC and other assets. That is what we're building. And so I think that will take time for that to proliferate globally, but we have an incredible partner with the country of Bermuda. And so that's why we're so excited. Execution continues, and I think it'll just intensify in the months and years ahead.
Premier, I'd like to close by returning back to you to the broader purpose behind this work. Digital finance can sound technical, but the biggest story to me is about Bermuda's future. The economic resilience, access, competitiveness, and opportunity for the people, your people of Bermuda. So to you, as you enter your final year as Premier, how does digital finance connect to your broader vision for Bermuda's future?
Well, it's been a journey. We want to work along with partners such as Circle, who have long time had this vision and noting this understanding of the future, so we can actually demonstrate to the world what is possible as this digital future comes. And so the key components of the future vision is, without question, sustained utility and adoption. Bermuda is a huge reinsurance market, and there's enormous opportunity to apply these new technologies to the world-leading insurance and reinsurance sector, which is exploring their own tokenization strategies using stable coins as collateral. I know that Circle have recently made, some announcements in the tokenization space. And this is also about financial inclusion and wealth building through tokenized investments. And the strategy aims to drive financial inclusion by giving ordinary people access to digital investment products and wealth building opportunities.
This is incredible. Premier Burt, Heath, Cash, thank you so much for joining today and for really bringing clarity, substance, and honestly, a perspective that is so important to this conversation. What we've heard today is that Bermuda's digital finance strategy is not just about adopting new technology. Folks, it's about building trusted infrastructure, lowering friction, expanding access, and supporting local businesses, and really showing how a forward-looking jurisdiction can help shape the future of finance. Heath, Cash, thank you so much. Any final words before we sign off today?
One final word from those of us at Circle. Although we can't be with you physically, rest assured, we are definitely with you in spirit. This is dangerous for me.
Wait, what's going on?
This is going to get dangerous for me. Steve, I love it. And we can't wait to come back to the island. Best wishes for everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. The work ahead will be about adoption, continued collaboration, and clearly making sure that these tools create practical value. So thank you to everyone who joined us. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing how this next chapter unfolds. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.